My guest this morning on Jersey Magazine is the former U.S. Surgeon General. He's got a brand new book out. Dr. Jerome Adams, good morning and welcome to the Jersey Magazine.
Good morning. It's great to be with you. I was born in Orange, New Jersey, and I'm heading to Princeton, New Jersey later this week. So certainly a near and dear to my heart.
There's a quote in the book that comes pretty early on that caught my attention immediately. Crossing the political aisle to work on a health issue that was killing Americans was a bridge too far for those in the highest political leadership positions. And of course, we're talking about COVID-19. That's scary when you think of the number of American lives that were at stake during that crisis and still going on, that they wouldn't just look and say what's best for the American people rather than worry about their own party.
Well, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest lessons from the book is partisanship really hindered our response. We had a once-in-a-century pandemic that by any measure would have been tough. And you have to acknowledge that because most of the rest of the world did a pretty terrible job also by any measure, but you had it superimposed on top of a presidential election. And for about 6 weeks, we came together as a nation, but then the presidential primary started. And if you look at that time, look at the time frame, that's about when we really started to see the virus stop being the enemy and that other person running for that other office and that other party being framed as the enemy.
The new book is called Crisis and Chaos, Lessons from the Front Lines of the War Against COVID-19. I was kind of surprised to learn that as late as February of 2020, you still were not being briefed as the U.S. Surgeon General on what was happening with the virus. How did that happen?
Well, what I'd remind people of, and I do in the book, is that our muscle memory was from Ebola. And we, in many cases and in many ways, massively overreacted to relative to the final threat. We had 9 people die from Ebola, and all of those were people who were flown in from outside of the United States. And so our muscle memory is of every year a new virus pops up, a new variant pops up, and it usually fizzles out. And so it took a while for us to make that transition from, is this going to be just a small outbreak that fizzles out, to, oh crap, this is a big deal. This is a pandemic that has pandemic potential. And so I talk about in the book how we need to do a better job from a public health infrastructure standpoint of recognizing that transition point and having that handoff from a small regional response to a more global and agile response.
You also talk in the book about which experts to trust. And, you mentioned Dr. Fauci, his first reaction to masks and your own response to that as well. And both of you did a 180 on that as you learned more about it. Who do you trust when you get to something like this, Dr. Adams?
Well, number one, we need to understand that science is not static. Science is about receiving new information and changing your position if that new information tells you that you are wrong. But unfortunately, as a nation, we're ranked outside the top 20 in science and math. And so one of the points I make in the book is we need better education for our young people so that they can do better than what we did when they're faced with threats in the future. But number two, I always say to people, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's COVID or cancer, talk to your doctor or your health professional before making a critical decision, like putting something in your body or choosing not to get vaccinated, because your doctor is going to have your personal interest in mind. There's no medical intervention that's 100% safe. 50 people die every day from Tylenol. And so we need to make sure that we respect the fact that individuals may vary, but that on a larger level, we're making population level of recommendations. And the best thing you can do is talk to your doctor.
One of the other things that you talk about in the book is misinformation and disinformation. And there's a quote, I think it's been attributed to Mark Twain, but there was a video clip of Denzel Washington, who said a few years ago, if you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do, you're misinformed. It's really hard to figure out who to look at and what to glean information from.
Well, again, it is for a couple of reasons. We can sell an Oreo cookie to any kid anywhere in America. But we can't get kids vaccinated. We need to do a better job of training public health and scientists in communication skills. That's number one. Number two, we need to be able to be online in a way that is effective, because that's where a lot of the misinformation and disinformation is being spread. That's where people get their health information. And so Donald Trump was thought of as the Twitter president. I was the reluctant Twitter surgeon general, and I still engage with people on Twitter, because if I'm not there, then someone else is going to be who's not as informed and is not as focused solely on health. But we, again, then need to individually say, okay, who is this person? Are they anonymous or not? Are they a trustworthy source? And who do I have who I can talk to, who's a doctor or a pharmacist I trust, to verify this information with?
You talk about the 3 C's in the book: clean, cover, and contain. Clean, wash your hands; cover if you cough or sneeze; and contain, if you're sick, stay home. Dr. Adams, it stunned me, and still does, that it took a global pandemic of this size to convince people they needed to wash their hands after they went to the bathroom.
Well, absolutely. And there are many positives that will come out of this pandemic. We saw a massive increase in telehealth. We saw a greater appreciation for the fact that America's poor baseline health put us in a bad situation. Our obesity rates, our high blood pressure rates, our diabetes rates. And as you mentioned, there's been a greater attention to general hygiene. And we've actually seen flu rates and RSV rates that are lower than what they had been in the past, because more people are taking precautions for COVID and beyond. So that's what I want the book to be about. I want people, it's not to shame or blame. It's not overly wonky. It's giving people the context, helping people really understand the story and how it evolved, and helping us understand how we do better individually and as a society moving forward. Because shame on us if we don't honor all those lives that we lost by trying to do better in the future.
Final question before we let you go. We're coming up, of course, cold flu season. There's a different variant of COVID-19 going around. What's the best way we can prepare ourselves and stay safe, Dr. Adams?
Well, I got my flu and COVID vaccines about 3-4 weeks ago. We say boo to the flu. You want to get those on board by around Halloween. And if you have questions, talk to your doctor or health provider. That's the number one way that you can protect yourself. But beyond that, try to eat healthy, try to exercise. Make sure you clean, cover, and contain during cold and flu season. These are all things that we can do. And I have a whole chapter on tips that can help people navigate this world moving forward individually in the book. So I hope folks check it out on Amazon, on Target, Barnes & Noble, and let me know what you think about it.
And again, the book is called Crisis and Chaos: Lessons from the Front Lines of the War Against COVID-19. Dr. Jerome Adams, thank you so much for your time this morning on Jersey Magazine, and best of luck with the book.
Thank you, and have a great day.